Hello and welcome to Rockhound Talk Live, the only live Rockhound podcast on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. I am your host, Amber Nicole, and this is my co-host, Ben Korn. Hey Ben.
Hey everyone. Welcome to Rockhound Talk Live. As you can probably guess, this is
Because it's
completely live.
live.
This is what you get. So how have you been, Amber?
Oh gosh. This is like an interesting 2024.
Yeah?
Well, my kids and I just recovered from like the worst flu ever. I mean, I don't think I can recall ever having the flu like this. And all three of us, like we were like out of commission for like a week.
Oh wow.
Usually like one will get sick and get better than the other one. It kind of trickles, but it was like boom, boom, boom. And out of the three of us, there's like one of us that's, not as bad as the other. Like we were out of commission. It was like at one point I was like, wait a minute, was this just the flu? But we bounced back. I mean, we're still recovering, but I mean, I'm at least functionable. So I'm glad to get that out of the way. Still haven't rack hounded yet. The weather is getting so much better in my area. So now that my daughter's out of basketball season, I have more time to, get outdoors and get back into collecting. So I'm hoping within the next week, like even if it's just locally, that I can, get out and collect. You've been out again, right?
I went out a couple times to go look for some agates. I went to a couple fields that I've got some access to. I did okay. I didn't do super great just because the farmer hasn't gone and plowed them up yet. So,
Yeah.
I'm waiting for that to happen. I also have been trying to sort of figure out. I actually am going to be bringing a couple people with me. Um,
Oh,
Chase, the Agate dude, does a Toys for Tots fundraiser every year, and I actually
yeah.
offered to take some people to help raise some money. And so I'm also just kind of checking like when can I tell them like, hey, we can go out now because I want to make sure that they can go out and actually like find decent stuff. But
Right.
it's it's coming, so I'm definitely itching to get out there,
Yeah.
and I just keep counting down the days too that I get to go to Arkansas because that's one thing that I'm really
Oh,
excited for too.
yeah. I'm so excited, like, for everyone to experience that. Like, just Arkansas crystal collecting and then the eclipse. Like, oh, it's gonna be great.
Yeah, I'm a little
Now,
nervous.
have you ever been to an eclipse before? A
I've
solar
not
eclipse
been to an
in
eclipse,
totality?
so
Oh, it's
yeah,
special.
it's that's the my because I'm like we're trying to save up because gonna be getting married this summer and stuff,
Yeah,
and I'm just like I don't have money, but I'm like this is like
it's a once in
once
a
in a
yeah.
lifetime.
Yep.
So I'm like, all right, so we're gonna go, we're gonna plan this, we're gonna do it, and the Mineral Club's doing a trip down there too, so it's
Yeah.
all working out. I'm a little worried about the crowds.
Oh yeah,
Um,
it's gonna
I
be.
Yeah, I just found that I saw that the Ron Coleman mine is doing like a tour. It's like a 3-day music festival over
Uh-huh.
the eclipse to try to bring in more people, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
like just thinking, I'm
I'm
like,
telling
oh my
you,
gosh,
Crystal
like
Vista, because I'm telling you, Crystal Vista is free, and I'm telling you what, there are going to be a lot of lazy people who don't want to walk up a mile of a mountain, and so that's going to deter a crowd. And the good thing is about Crystal Vista is that it's just like this wide open space where you can literally like dig fresh like into the forest. Like
right,
it's not tailings, it's not like pre-dog. I mean, there is an old mine there too. But so like just in the back of your head, if you get into one of these places and you feel it, like Crystal Vista is literally on the same road, I believe, as like Wagner's. Oh no, not Wagner's. Avatar. So like there's like three mines. I think Wagner's might be there too. There's like three mines all in like the same area. And
yeah.
so it's not in either way. Mount Ida is a small area. So if you ever just keep that in the back of your mind, if you're like, okay, this is too much.
Yeah, we have we're doing I'm actually set up we're actually gonna go to Flash Mountain like the first
Oh,
like literally we're driving from Kansas
nice.
City in the morning, and then I'm actually gonna be digging with the Arkansas Crystal Girls. They're actually gonna be there.
Oh,
So
that's
that'll be
awesome.
fun.
Yeah.
And then we're doing the there's the person that's actually leading the trip. He's been there multiple times, and so we're doing I
So
know
you've got
Avent.
opportunities. Yeah.
Yeah, and he
Hmm.
even set up that they're doing like the Wave-A-Lite too, which I
Nice.
wish I had the money
Great.
for that, but I can't do the Wave-A-Lite, so I'm hoping I can get something from some of the people that go.
Yeah.
And then I know it's Avent, and there's a couple other ones, but we've got like
So
the
you've
like
got, yeah.
he knows what he's doing, and he's got like
Good.
it's already reserved, and I think one of them we're doing like a pocket dig and stuff, and
Oh,
so
nice. Yeah. It'll
yeah,
be a
so
good time.
I'm
It's
really
going to be
excited.
perfect
And
weather.
yeah, and we decided that because the eclipse is on like Monday afternoon, and we decided we're not going to leave until Tuesday because we didn't want to deal with traffic and stuff. So it'll be a nice, like, kind of slow, but it ends up being like a whole week because like we're gonna go over the weekend, and then it's like, well, it's 2 days to
Hmm.
get down there.
Oh, hold on one
So
second. I think that's Kelsey. Is that the Cars Scar? Is that Kelsey?
no, I'm not
Oh,
sure
who is
who
it?
that is. But hello to Car
Yeah.
Scar.
Hey, thanks for watching.
Yeah,
So
and
sorry.
hi, Polly Rixie on Instagram too. I see you as
Hey.
well.
So yeah, you'll
Um,
have a great time. That'll be good.
Yeah, and I've been doing some other stuff too. I'm just set up a shop as well. So I'm gonna start selling some rocks and
Yes, you've
minerals
been talking about that.
on
Yeah.
Facebook and
Yeah.
Etsy. I set up an Etsy shop too.
Oh,
So now
nice.
that I got my flat lap came back and it's fixed. So I just started trying to get back into polishing. So I'm gonna get through and start polishing some really cool agates that I've gotten from all over. So it'll be nice to actually have some, rock stuff that I can do
Yes,
inside.
yes, yes, yes. I haven't actually been selling, like, just getting I'm still doing renovations in the house and everything is just like a hot mess. So like I've just been so disconnected, like literally just to the hobby in general, like, and I feel it like in my bones. like like I haven't been selling, I haven't been playing, I haven't been like exploring. I'm just like, what am I doing with my life? So I am literally ready, like, to just like, I don't even care if I have to go down to, well, I guess Fossil Park. Actually, I live right like 2 seconds from Fossil Park. It's not open yet, but like I don't even care if I have to walk around Fossil Park and just find little like clippings of fossils. Like I just need to
Right.
get and collect something. Like it's the best part of at least my life. I love it. Miss it.
Yeah, we just got a dog this weekend,
Oh yeah, that's right. A
and
little
I've been
baby.
trying to spend what's that?
Is it a baby? Is it a puppy?
No, he's 6 years old.
Oh, okay, okay,
So
good. So he's
yeah,
like
he
trained.
so he's like potty trained and stuff, but obviously like uprooting him, he was a lost dog for a while, and then he went into this, rescue, and then I adopted him, so he's been like moving around. So just like the fact that I all of a sudden he just appeared in a stranger's home, and I'm like, hey, you're home now. So just like trying to get him to like calm down, and so like just spending some time with him too. I was like, I should just like sit and like start reading. So I've been like reading some like agate books and things just to like
Oh, that's
kind of
sweet.
spend some of the time to do something rock related while I'm kind of stuck inside.
Yeah, completely. So we have our guest tonight. Let's pull up where's our banner? Do we have that? We've got Tom Hebert here tonight. And really excited to speak with Tom. Um, Tom, wow. We got a chance to speak with Tom like we do with our pre-interviews, and we didn't really get a chance to talk much last time, but I like really, really feel like love Tom's energy. You guys, it's gonna be a great show. Tom is the director and founder of the Earth Science Foundation. He's gonna dive into this foundation that he founded, and kind of explain a little bit what he does with educating the community about paleontology, and just everything that he does with this foundation is really cool. Some of the technology that he's working with, and trying to get everybody on board with. It's really exciting. So let's go ahead and bring him out.
Hey, Tom.
Hey, Tom.
Hey everybody, how are you guys tonight?
Doing well, doing well.
Good.
Glad to have you tonight.
I'm excited to be here, and I just gotta say that being off stage and listening, I can completely relate to the itch. I want to be digging right now. It's like, oh, it's right there. I can. There's no snow. It's nice. It's 50 some degrees. I could be digging right now. So, yeah, I can completely relate to wanting to be out of the office, out of the
Yes.
house, and let's go find some cool stuff.
Yes, really, absolutely. So, Tom, tell us a little bit about your journey, and how you got started in the hobby of collecting. You primarily collect fossils, dinosaur bones, and your niche is paleontology. So, just tell us a little bit like how you got started, whether your journey is from childhood or beyond, and just go from there, and then tell us a bit about your foundation.
Absolutely, and depending on how much time we have, I can start at the very beginning. I was born not a dinosaur person. As a child, I had no interest in dinosaurs. I was not one of those kids that knew every name. Much like the kids that we deal with the foundation, that they come up and give me names of dinosaurs. I'm like, that's a new one on me. You know more of the names than I do. Um, and actually, my love affair with dinosaurs started about 14 years ago. Um, been married and was going through a really bad divorce and had my two daughters. Um, and it sucked. I don't recommend it. If you're married, stay married. Um, and so I'd run a very successful business at that point,
Was that in the
was very glad.
corporate world or like your
Yeah, I
like
own my own
oh,
insurance agency.
okay, okay.
So
So
we
it
had
wasn't like an
multiple
out it
offices.
wasn't like an outdoor company or anything like that. It was, not anything where you're
No,
exploring or anything.
no, the most exciting exploration I had was dealing with farm insurance, was walking around on the farm and playing with cows and looking at tractors. That was about the extent of my exploration at that point. But I'm grateful for that experience because it gave me the opportunity that during this divorce that summer, I looked at my daughters and said, "All right, you get 1 week with dad. Anything you want to do, I don't care what it is, just name it. I don't care. We'll spend the money. We're forgetting this garbage. We're going to go have some fun and have some experiences that we can, have something hopefully a little positive to hang on to during this otherwise crappy situation."
Right.
Um, so my oldest daughter is a huge country music fan, and there's a local country music festival here that goes for 4 days. And she's like, "I want to go to the country music festival." No, no, please God, anything but that. Was not
Oh,
looking forward.
so you're not a country guy, okay?
I am now.
Now,
Um,
okay.
I've been slowly indoctrinated into the country music cult. Um, you know,
So
and
you were
I
like, so you did like a bonding thing, right? Like you just
Yep,
like took one for the team. We do that
yep.
as parents.
So we went and we actually had a blast. I mean, took her backstage and she got to meet like Toby Keith and Keith
Oh,
Urban, and
cool.
I mean, we went all out. We went just we're going all in on this. And then I looked at my youngest daughter, Emma, and I said, "All right, what do you want to do?" And I'm like, "Come on, Hawaii, come on, Germany, let's go someplace cool." And she's like, "I want to dig dinosaurs." And I'm like, "What the hell?"
Oh, that's how I
Um,
got into it too with my daughter. That's how my daughter got me into. And now, honestly, sorry, don't mean to interrupt you, but like my daughter now is like, I wish I would have never got you into this because it's like you turn this into a hobby to an obsession.
yeah, yeah. The good news is you will end your kid's obsession with this stuff. Just
Yes.
get more involved as a parent,
Yep.
and their
Yep.
passion will disappear.
Literally, because
Um,
that's literally what happened to my daughter. It broke my heart, but you know,
oh,
but
mine too. I
I
mean,
completely feel you.
yeah, my daughter Emma has nothing to do with dinosaurs anymore unless I absolutely beg her to do something to
Yep.
help me out. Um, but she is looking at, she starts college here next fall and
Oh,
looking at marine biology.
oh, that's cool.
So she's still in the science field, so we can still talk. And she wants to study sharks. And I've been very fortunate that I've made connections with some people that have done some really cool stuff with ancient sharks that might apply to whatever she wants to do. Um, but long story short, found a guy out in South Dakota that would take us out. Uh, so we loaded up the car and drove on out and did the touristy thing in South Dakota and went to the Badlands and Mount Rushmore and the Black Hills, and then we went out and dug dinosaurs, and we're not even out there a half hour. My daughter pulls out a nice little 2-inch T-Rex tooth. Her excitement was just
Oh,
infectious watching her, and I was like, "This is the coolest thing ever." And then
what?
uh, my slightly addictive personality with a little bit of OCD mixed in for fun. I just really got into it. I'm like, this is so exciting and
Yeah.
so, um, you know, I compare it to gambling when I describe it to people. It's like you're sitting in a slot machine and you're pulling the handle and nothing's happening, nothing's happening, nothing's happening. All of a sudden you get a seven and then another seven. And then you're like, oh,
Yes.
come on, third seven. And then you're like, oh, crap, single bar, nothing. But it's similar to that when you're out
Yes.
digging and you're using a paintbrush and dental picks and a scalpel and you're just brushing away literally grains of this rock that's 60, 70, 100, 150 million plus years old, and all of a sudden you see something, you're like, oh, what's that going to be? I can see
Exactly.
it. And then you start brushing and you're trying not to get too excited because you don't want to go too fast. I mean, one of the things I always tell people when we take them out digging with the foundation that is take what the rock will give you. Don't force it.
Yeah.
Just let it come. We're in no hurry. It's been, we do a lot of work in the late Cretaceous Hell Creek Formation. So I tell them it's been laying here for 66 million years. It's not going anywhere. Take your time. But it is. And then you start brushing and you start cleaning, and all of a sudden it's getting bigger. And you're like, yeah, get bigger, get bigger, get bigger. It's going to be awesome. And then suddenly the sun starts going down. You're like, crap, get smaller, get smaller. I want to get you out. And it never fails that at 4:30 in the afternoon, somebody will always find something cool. And then I have to give them that bad news of it's going to have to stay here till tomorrow or another day
Yeah.
because we're out of daylight. So just that overall experience. Looking at the
Which,
comments, sorry,
which,
Megalodon.
but, which, by the way, I was gonna say, just you were saying not to force it. I mean, I've never actually like dug for any kind of dinosaur bones.
Well, you
Like
are welcome to join
I
us anytime you want, Amber.
well, thank you. I've done, Great Lakes kind of fossils kind of thing. But so how fragile are these fossils? You tug too hard, are you gonna break it? Like that kind of
Well,
thing? Or
absolutely.
okay.
Yeah, they're extremely fragile. Um, it's like one of the things we talk about when we're teaching um, kids or even adults that we take out on digs that have never done it is, you know, one of the things that people like to do is go and just start jabbing at the earth and moving as much rock as fast as it can
Yes. Like I'm
and
like Dolostone, I'm just taking the sledge and just hitting
yeah,
it.
no, don't do that. They will explode on you, and then you'll have nothing but a handful of powder going. This used to be a fossil of something. Um,
Now let's get calcite or
it,
calcium
it,
carbonate or whatever.
well, it's not
It's
even.
powder.
Actually, I can
Yeah,
tell you,
yeah, tell
it's
me.
roughly about 32 different chemicals right now. We're doing some as a foundation. We are working on some really cool research that involves some chemical analysis of dinosaur bones using non-destructive technologies. So yeah, I could pull up data and tell you exactly what they're made of. Um, Quite a
So I
bit of
guess that so
still.
that kind of goes with so like we were just talking about like what you like how you kind of got into this. So I guess tell us more about the foundation because we haven't talked about that yet.
Yeah.
Well, and it brings us back to the whole story of Tom, I guess.
Yeah.
So I fell in love with the dinosaurs, started working as a part-time tour guide for the company out in South Dakota, um, and did that for about 7, 8 years. And during that time, I got remarried and still had my business. And one day I was driving home from my insurance agency, and I'm like, I just hate my life.
I
I
know that
do.
feeling.
I'm so burnt out on insurance. I'm so burnt out on people. I mean, I like people for the most part. I really do. As you can
Yeah.
tell, I'm a fairly outgoing individual. I have no problem with people. But and
Yeah.
I got home. I looked at my new wife I said, sweetheart, I said, I think I'm going to sell the business and go back to school and go dig dinosaurs full time. And I was expecting a response of, "Are you out of your ever loving freaking mind?" That
Right.
we have a mortgage, we have car payments, we have bills to pay, and students don't make any money, first of all, and then paleontologists make even less for the most part. And she didn't. She literally turned to me and she said, "It's about
Aw.
time." She's like, "Go.
Aw.
This is what you are supposed to be doing." So went back to school and I had an idea my first year. I was taking a class for a program called GIS or Geographical Information Systems. Some hopefully most of the people are familiar. If not, it's basically, in real simple layman's terms, it's a program to make maps. It's that simple. And I was sitting there going, well, why can't we map dinosaurs using this program? It seems pretty easy, straightforward, much better way of curating a site, digitally rather than in old school paper logs that you're trying to read somebody's handwriting or they
Right.
spill coffee on it or um, and so went to the chair of my department and he's like, yeah, this is awesome. Let's do it. We got research grant money for undergrad research. We can help you with some funding and we have a geography department that has the equipment that you need to start making the maps. And I'm like, all right. So went down and started talking to the chair of the department for the geography department and telling him what I wanted to do with using what's called GNSS equipment. If you've ever seen land surveyors and a little stick and the ball that they have on top, that's the type of equipment we were looking at trying to get
Mhm.
from the university. And they're looking at me going, okay, so he wants to give you like $30,000 of equipment that you've never used before. I'm like, yep. He goes, and you're going to take it to South Dakota and use it. I'm like, yep. And you're not taking any professors or faculty with you with any experience. I said, that is correct. And they said, no, you are not doing that. And
And
I'm like,
this was the university.
yep. So I'm like,
Okay.
okay, well, this kind of sucks. So went back to my
Right.
chair. He's like, well, let's give it a few days, and then I'll go myself and talk to the chair and see what we can get done. In the meantime, because of my life experience, I've developed very much a hold my beer and watch this mentality.
I
Please tell me I can't do something, and I'm going to figure
know,
out a way to
right?
get it done, just out of nothing else but pure spite sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I started calling manufacturers of the equipment, companies like Trimble and Leica and Carlson Software, and leaving messages for these companies just saying, hey, this is what I want to do. And I was very grateful and very lucky. I left a message for a gentleman named Bruce Carlson, owner and Carlson Software. Within 24 hours, he had a sales rep from Iowa, a guy named Lad Nelson, calls me. And he's like, this is the freaking coolest thing ever. We're in.
All
What do you
right.
need? I'm like,
Wow.
I don't know what I need. I don't even know
I
what
just
I'm doing. I
I
just
got
had an
the
idea.
idea. Yeah, let's do it. Let's make it happen.
So you tell me what I need. And so Lad put this whole package together, about $30,000-$40,000 worth of state of the art surveying GNSS equipment. And it's like, here you go. And then, he took time out of his schedule to teach me and a couple of my classmates how to use it. Actually came out in the field with us the first week to help us make the first maps. Um, and during that process, I kind of had a moment where I sat there and said, if I wasn't, 40 years old and had this life experience and knew that there were other ways to potentially skin the proverbial cat, and I was an 18, 19, 20-year-old student and had this idea and heard no, it'd be done. And I'm
Right.
like, how many ideas are lost
Right.
because
Lots.
either the university doesn't have funding, the professor's not interested in what you're trying to research, it's not in their specialty.
You don't
The
have the right
student,
accolades behind your name.
absolutely, it's what I refer to as the alphabet soup behind your name. um, it's how many of these ideas get lost that could have changed history, that could have changed something, could have increased our knowledge, if
Right.
nothing, helped that student to grow just personally. And it kind of pissed me off.
Right.
And so that's really when the foundation started coming into my mind of creating this environment where we don't say no. We very much like if you get a chance, go to our website and read our full vision statement. Um, but to paraphrase it is you have an idea and the door is closed on you, we're going to be there to kick it open.
I love that.
It's just what we like to do. I
Uh-huh.
take great pride in being one that bring me the crazy idea. What do you got? I mean, I don't care. Let's figure out how to make this work.
Yeah.
Um, and that's what really got my brain wrapped around creating this nonprofit in this place, you know, the safe place that people could come with crazy ideas and not be told they're crazy, or have the door slammed in their face. And then the more I looked at it, the more I started rolling this idea around in my head and going, if it if I would have had this opportunity when I was a kid, to go out and dig and find this passion when I was 10 instead
Hmm.
of in my 30s,
Right.
where would I have been? Where would I be now in my
Right.
career? What would have been different? So I really wanted to make sure that any student that had an interest, any kid anywhere that had an interest and wanted an opportunity to go out and dig dinosaurs would have it. So we started our free kids dig program where all kids 16 and under come out and dig for free. We used to do everybody for free, but we turned into a daycare center.
Yeah.
Um, and so we had to start putting a few curriculum in there, criteria in there to
Which,
help
by
with
the
that.
way, if there were any educators watching, how would um a school or even a teacher who was interested in this, how would they be able to, set something up for students?
The easiest way is to go to our website. It's letsdig.org, letsdig.org, and just hit the contact button. And when you fill that form out and send that, it actually comes right to me. And I will personally look at it and reach out to you. I mean, I just had one yesterday from a professor at a school out in Montana that has a science fair going on, and he's been following us for a couple of years on our social media. Yeah, we're on social media. Go to Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn. Was told today that we have to start a TikTok page. I don't even know what the
Yes,
hell
you
that
do.
means.
You gotta stay with the times.
I don't even know what the hell that means or how to do it, but I'm gonna figure it out. Maybe it's the way I get my daughter back into dinosaurs is let her, can you run our TikTok and just make videos for us all day? And so that's the best way to get a hold of us. We do programs both in person and virtual. I've presented virtually to schools in California, Connecticut, Arkansas, did some things in New Mexico, Colorado. I mean, all over. Um, done
we do
even
have
virtual
some
meetings
And
overseas.
we do have some veterans that are watching. Shout out to Robert. Shout out to Jake. They're specifically Jake specifically. He was gonna make sure he tuned in because he was interested in getting some information because you do offer that service to veterans as well, correct?
Absolutely. And yeah, I was going to get to that because it's one of my favorite stories in the world to tell of how um, we created our Veterans Dig program. We call it our decompression dig program because we really focus on the mental health aspect of
Oh, that's awesome.
digging and being in the dirt. Um, it's very cathartic. There's something very therapeutic about being in the
Oh,
middle of nowhere and just not
mm-hmm.
having a care in the world.
Yes, it really,
And
literally.
so how that came to be was um, after a few years of digging myself.
Are you a veteran or
No, my father is, and
okay?
it was my fourth year of out helping dig out in South Dakota with this company. My daughter was still in the dinosaurs at the time, and she was developing a good relationship with her grandparents. And she asked if Grandma and Grandpa could come with this summer for our trip, and I'm like, absolutely. And so we brought them with and did the whole tourist thing with them, and then took my mom and dad out actually on a dinosaur dig. And love my father, but he is in many areas the opposite of me, very quiet, very reserved, not very outgoing. If he says something, it's going to be very gruff and but profound at the same time. um, and we're out there digging, mind our own business, and he's not saying much, so I don't really think much about it. All of a sudden, about 4 hours in, he's like, hey, I think I found something. I'm like, oh really, Dad? I can't wait to see this, sarcastically, and my mind is going, crazy old man. Love you, you're nuts. And I walk over there, and here's this beautiful 4.5 inch T-Rex tooth. He's got it all dug out. It's up
Oh,
on what we call a
Wow.
plateau where he's got it on a pedestal. It's just on the rock. It was like he had a God-given gift. He just knew how to do it, and it was
aw.
laying there beautifully. I'm like, all right, that's yeah, Dad, you found something. He's like, yeah, I know what it is too. I'm like, okay, what is it? He's like, that's a T-Rex tooth. I'm like, you're damn right it is.
All right, Dad. All right.
and and I love telling the story because it's at this moment where I look at my dad and say, okay, pick it up. He's like, I'm gonna break it. And my dig site, Dad, shut up and pick it up. Do as you're told. Um, and I said, that's why we have glue, and that's why we, we're
Mm-hmm.
good. Go ahead. And my dad picks this thing up and he's cradling his hands like a
Like a
newborn
baby.
baby. It was just and the smile on his face, his pictures all over our website and social media all
Oh,
the
that's
time
so
because it's one of my
precious.
favorite pictures. And I look at him and I say this to everybody I take out digging when they're, when they find something and they have that moment of discovery. And then I tell them to pick it up and I say, all right, Dad, you do realize that you are the first human being that has ever held that,
Oh, that is
ever.
such an incredible feeling.
And, we had our, and just that joy on his face. And so as I played that memory over in my head all the time, I'm like, wait a minute, maybe this is something we can do for our veterans that are struggling,
Yeah.
or even our veterans that are transitioning out of their military service and looking for another career now. They come with a certain set of skills already built
Yeah.
in that this is a good field to get into, whether it's geology, surveying, paleontology, archaeology, anthropology, any of those things. And so I had a veteran out a few years ago on our first real veterans dig that we had. And we'd found some really cool dinosaur material and he was working on it and he was digging it. And, I get to that point where like I'm going to say, all right, pick it up. I want you to hold it. And, I get the same thing. Oh, I'm going to break it. I don't care. Break it. Don't break it. Just pick it up.
Right.
Um, it's part of this experience.
Yes.
Um, and he picks it up and, I'm like, you're the first person that's ever held that. It's the first time that this thing has ever seen daylight. I
Yeah.
mean, because if you think about it, when it's when something becomes fossilized, there's certain criteria it has to meet in order to become a fossil. It has to die. It has to be buried really quickly. There's got to be, some kind of diagenetic process, which is a really fancy way of saying different elements and chemicals get introduced and replace the calcium phosphate
Mm-hmm.
and harden
Yeah.
it and make it a mineral.
Yep.
Um, and so this thing's never seen daylight until you found it. And I'm like, I don't care what you've done before this. I don't care what you do after this. Nobody can
No,
take this moment
yeah.
from you.
Yep.
And he starts crying. And I'm
Oh,
like,
you're gonna
oh,
make me
oh,
cry. Ugh.
oh shit, I broke him. Oh, can I say that?
No, it's okay.
Well,
I
that's
mean,
fine.
we'll
Well,
fix it because
I take it out.
I'm
I
potty
take it out
mouth.
for the
So
I've taken many of those.
yes.
There's
Yep.
many little
And I
silent
was.
person.
It's all right.
Oh
It's me.
shoot, I broke him. And I was concerned at this moment, going, okay, that's not a response I was anticipating.
Right.
And uh, we stop, and I'm like, are you okay? And he looks at me and he goes, I've taken a lot of lives in the service of my country and to protect our
Oh,
freedoms, and I just brought something back to life. And I mean, it still gets me
yeah.
emotional when I tell the
Yeah,
story
yeah, yeah,
now.
yeah. I mean, like
Um,
that's making me choke up. Yeah.
and it's one of the reasons why our vets program we're actually um, working on. We're creating our own separate web page for it. We want to really develop that program even more because
Yeah, I think that's
as much as it was an enjoyable experience of my dad and him being a Vietnam veteran and seeing what it did for him,
yeah.
having that interaction and hearing what it meant for this particular soldier,
Yeah.
I have to do whatever I can now.
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
extremely lucky. I have lived a life that I don't deserve. I have enjoyed way more fun and freedom than I ever could possibly pay back. I mean, I use the thing all the time um, that I'm a 12-year-old with a checkbook now. I mean, that's really my mentality. I get to be a kid every day, and these men and women have done things that we don't even want to talk about.
Right.
Um,
To
and
to
if
give
I
them
can do this for
opportunity.
them,
Yeah. Yeah.
why the hell wouldn't I do it?
Yeah.
And what really bothers me is why is it so hard to fundraise for this? Why is it so hard to get people to go, oh, sure, I'll donate a little money if you're going to take them out for free? Because our Veterans Dig program, they don't pay for travel, they don't pay for lodging, they don't pay for meals, they don't pay for anything.
That's crap.
This is the absolute least I can do to repay them for the freedom that honestly I take for granted most days.
Yeah.
And so it is one of those things that, hopefully I don't come across too aggressively, but I'm extremely passionate about it.
No, no,
Um,
no. I appreciate the passion. I'm the
and
same way.
so,
So
um, so that, our vets program is so much fun, and it's amazing seeing how these individuals that, thank you, Joshua, I see your comment. Thoughts on amber? Oh, I've got lots of thoughts on amber. I found lots of it. And
yeah, I
no,
was
I
gonna
don't.
actually say after
I
you
don't
finish
believe
this
we can
bit.
clone dinosaurs from mosquitoes and amber. I hate the movie. I've never even watched all of them. I- as a, you know a paleontologist, they offend me.
So
So
talking about the fossils then, so what do you do then after you get these out of the ground? Where do they go?
we, generally speaking, they either stay in the foundations custody. We have a facility in a building up in a little town in Roundup, Montana. We have
Just north of
7,500.
Billings.
Yep, about an hour north of Billings. Um, and we've done a lot of work up there with our kids dig program. That's where a couple of our vets digs have occurred up there. Everything that we have found in that area has gone into the Muscle Shell Valley Historical Museum that's right in Roundup. We actually fundraised and got some grants and built a 750 square foot addition onto their museum just for dinosaurs.
Oh wow.
It really helped promote that
So,
community. And
so backing up, so just real quick. So you're talking about a specific area. So I take it where you typically do your collecting is somewhere where you've been granted permission in this particular area then. So like if
yes,
somebody, so if somebody like a veteran was like, "Oh, I totally want to do this. Where do I go? Where's the location where you kind of send where do you go for your digs?"
but right now we have 5 locations we can go to.
Okay. In
We have
Montana
three. We
or
have 3 ranches in Montana.
okay.
Um, we have some acreage state land that we can dig on in Wyoming in conjunction with Sheridan College
Okay.
and the Museum of Discovery there in Sheridan, Wyoming. And then we have a 5-year partnership agreement that we're working with the Standing Rock Sioux Tribe out in North and South Dakota
Okay.
to help them with their paleontological resources. And if you don't know the history of the Standing Rock Sioux Tribe and paleontology, that's a whole nother episode. I could talk for hours on it. It's a very, very sad. It's an exciting, then sad, and then super exciting story. Um, Overall, we're just really humbled and blessed to be able to even have the opportunity to go and work. So we have a lot of places to go. Most
Okay.
of the stuff we do.
Just for like if someone was like watching this and they're like, "Okay, this is great. I want to do it." And I live in New York, where would I be going? So you're talking Wyoming, North South Dakota, and what was
Montana.
Montana.
Montana. Okay.
Um,
Okay.
and we have other places that are potentially opening up. We're developing some further relationships in Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, Utah. So
So
we're getting more
expanding.
and more stuff done. I would love to figure out a way to get some land out east somewhere on the East Coast to make it a little easier for people to participate and hopefully not have to travel as much. But at the same time, I look at it that for me and my personal experience in starting out with this is the travel to get there was almost as much fun as the actual experience of digging there. I mean, that time with my daughter and my parents, and then my current wife and her 2 boys that are now my 2 boys, and our road trips back and forth in
Oh
the car
God.
out there.
Best. Yes.
Um,
Yep.
I would
They're special
encourage
times. Yep.
families to do it.
Absolutely.
Um, and so, yeah, it's
Absolutely.
just been a blast. And then the work that
And
we're
you know what
doing.
the kids will say they hated it or they'll say, "Oh my God, we were in the car this long." But let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. A year later, months later, they come back to that time in the car when this happened or this. They talk about it and their memories, and they
Oh,
hated it at the time. But these are long lasting memories that they'll never have again. Obviously, they're memories, but they imprinted on them and it was a
oh, absolutely.
positive. And so it's like, even if you're like your parent, you're like, "Oh my God, they're going to complain. They're going to hate it." Yeah, they probably will. But trust me, in the long run, they come back to that memory, and because it
Oh,
gets me every time. Every family vacation I've had, my kids have complained. But then like years later, when they come back to me and they're like, "Remember when we did this?" And it just makes your heart just like melt because you're like, "Oh my god, you actually did have a good time."
wait a
So
minute.
it's
You were
like,
lying to me the whole time and said it
yeah,
sucked.
like take
You
those road
little,
trips.
you
Yes.
little brat. No. um, I mean, yeah, because it is. It's, that's how it started. Was I wanted to create this opportunity for experiences with my daughters,
Yeah.
and and
Yep.
and now it's this, and it's morphed into this completely different. It's, don't get me wrong. There were times on that road trip where,
Oh,
you
yes.
know,
Trust me.
I'm
Yes.
just like, I want to reach in the back seat and slap you around a little bit. And but
Yes.
now I'm
I mean,
sitting here going, if it wasn't for her saying I wanted to dig
yes.
dinosaurs,
Yes.
I wouldn't be where I am right now.
That's
And
exactly my
I
life.
don't care
Yes.
how much some of it sucked, and I don't care how much of it was great. It, I have to be grateful for that.
Yeah.
And the minute I lose gratitude for that experience, I don't need to be here anymore. I'm offering no value to anyone the minute I lose that. And it really is one of those things behind my aspirations for this foundation is it's coming from a place of just being of service. How can we help? What can we do? What can we do to encourage, kids to get involved with science? And then now that we got them involved in science, what can we do to eh, hopefully inspire them to be more involved in their education? So when we're out digging, we talk about things like math and why it's
Right.
really important to do good at math because,
Yeah.
if we find this femur and we measure it,
Yeah.
and we multiply it by a known constant, we can tell you how big this dinosaur was.
So speaking about that, Jacob Stafford he actually commented on the post of this, so the comments weren't showing up. He mentioned I want to come work for you guys. So if someone wanted to
Oh,
help for the
Jake, hold up,
foundation,
hold up, hold up. Let me just say something real quick,
okay.
okay?
Amber's like,
Jake
you're
and
second. You're second. I'm
no,
working for him
no,
first. No.
no, 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 no. Jake and I are like BFFs. Like Jake is like literally like, okay, you know how there's like that person on Instagram that you send 100 memes to or 100 Instagram reels to that are funny like all day and you don't reply to each other, you just send 1,000. Like that's me and Jake, okay? So like Jake is good people. Jake is good people. And I'm telling you, if he wants to work for you, he will like literally like it would be a match made in heaven.
So
And
if
we're
Jacob or
open.
somebody else wanted if they wanted to help your foundation or come work for you, what would you say to them?
uh, the biggest thing is reach out. Go to our website, hit the contact button. Start that conversation. I can't reach out to you because I don't even know you exist right now. Please let me know you exist. Please let me know that this is something you are interested in or you're passionate about or want to help in some way, shape, or form. And I don't care what form that is, because, as my mom always said, many hands make light work. And the more hands we get and the more people we get involved and the
Oh
more
yeah.
people we get talking about this,
And like
the
people who
more
are
impact we can
passionate,
have.
yes, like that have share that same passion and just that drive to just want to be a part of something great and grow. It's like it doesn't get better than that.
Yeah, so and Josh asked how can I donate, because this is it a nonprofit that the
Yes,
foundation
yeah,
is set up as?
we are a full 501c3. We have our IRS designation, and so all donations are tax deductible. I don't sit there and brag about that because I want people to donate because they love what we're doing, not because they get a tax break for it. To me, that should be ancillary. But to answer your question, Joshua, best way is to go to the website, letsdig.org. And right on the front page, you'll see our brand new logo that we just created, which is actually behind me on the wall here. Um, and next to it should be a button that says support us or donate. And you just click that and it'll take you right to the donation page. You can do a one time. We have people that do recurring monthly donations, much like you see for, donate X amount of dollars and we'll send you a free t shirt type of thing. And that's the best way to do it. If you're interested in volunteering or want to come on a dig or even just want to talk to me, just send us a message through the website. You can also find us on Facebook. I'm on Facebook. The Earth Sciences Foundation's on Facebook. We're on LinkedIn. Our
And if you're watching
Instagram
this
is
show,
at,
oh, sorry.
I think our Instagram handles at ESF Let's Dig. So reach out to us. I love hearing from people. I love getting the questions. Is one of the things that kind of keeps me energized is to realize that maybe I am having a little bit of an impact, because it is one of those areas where, you know, we have amazing moments. Like, I love to tell a story. If I may, I don't know how much I can talk all night. So you tell me when you want to shut me up.
No, you're good. Go
Um,
on.
because I've been very fortunate to have so many cool experiences, that again, I shake my head most days and go, I don't deserve any of this. But I talk about a young girl I met 5 years ago. Her name is Lindsay. Lindsay was this, sweetest little girl from South Dakota, very much into science, very quirky, she's her own person, and she was not ashamed of it.
I love it.
And absolutely loved it. And this is when I was helping the other company and had her out. And it was the first time she'd been digging. She loved dinosaurs. She wanted to be a paleontologist, and she was, we hear it all the time. And we're out there digging, and her and I just kind of connected, and shared a lot of stories about my experience in school. Shared a lot of her experiences of what she's going through at school, and we're just digging. And all of a sudden, she's finding something. She's like, "Hey, I think I found something." I look over, and if you get a chance if you ever seen a T-Rex tooth on display or seen one in person or anything, they're shiny. They have enamel on them. You
Oh
can
wow.
tell what they are in the ground pretty quick. And she's got one. She's working on one. And I look over, and she's like, I think I found something. I look over to the hill like this. I'm like, yeah. I said, you know what to do. Just, keep brushing, take what it'll give you, go from what you can see to what you can't see, and take your time. I knew what I wasn't about to tell her what she was working on. And all of a sudden she gets up, she's like, oh my God, Tom, is that a T-Rex tooth? I'm like, yeah, you just dug up a T-Rex tooth. And we've just bonded over this. She's now 18, graduated high school last year. She's now a freshman at South Dakota School of Mines, pursuing a degree in paleontology.
Awesome.
We still
Oh, the
talk.
impact.
You know, uh, Sadly,
Is
we've
it?
had some really bad stories. Lindsay and I were in a very bad car accident 2 years ago. Um, and Her father was with us, and one of our college interns was with us. Um, Here's your PSA: wear your seatbelts. If I didn't say that loud enough, I can do it again. But uh, what happened is the leaf spring on my truck broke, and the axle shifted, and we rolled and flipped a couple times about 70 miles an hour. And to this day, I still don't know how. Three of the four of us literally walked out of there with nothing. Um, and the three of us had our seatbelts on. One who did not ended up breaking his neck. Not paralyzed, completely recovered. It was Lindsay's dad. And so, yeah, PSA, wear your damn seatbelts, folks. Please. I believe to this day it saved my life and Lindsay's life and Keegan's life and her dad. Um, but so Lindsay and I have had these experiences now that it's very much a father daughter relationship almost, where
Hmm.
she'll text me, and I text her and go, hey, how did your first semester go? How are your grades? Oh, my grades weren't well. I was struggling with this math class. I'm like, well, why the hell didn't you say something? Just let me know. I can help. I'm pretty good at math. I mean, I've taken all the way through Calc 2. I think I can handle algebra right now. Um, and so
It's the
those are the things that
impact. Yeah.
it is. It's just you can't even imagine it. It's just
Yeah.
um and then like the story with the veteran and what happens there, and then
Yeah.
the work we're doing at the Standing Rock Sioux tribe, and to see that pride that is coming from them and the excitement that is building in these communities around their land, and uh, how lucky and fortunate I've been to be introduced to this amazing culture that for the most part we're ignorant about. We don't
Yeah.
know much about it.
I absolutely would say that the average American is very not knowledgeable about Native culture and history.
And so it is, it's one of those things now where I'm like, you know, I have an opportunity now to help expand their cultural heritage, to help tell their story.
Yeah, that's
You know,
beautiful.
but not really tell it from my point of view. I want to be a mouthpiece for them. This is your story. Like, part of our agreement with them is, most people probably know that when somebody finds a dinosaur, you know, you've got Sue the T Rex, you got Stan the T Rex, you got Big John the Triceratops, you got Scotty up in Canada. They mostly name it after the person who discovered it. Um, Part of our agreement and partnership with the Standing Rock Sioux Tribe is that all the dinosaurs that we find for them on their land, one, belong to them. They're theirs. We do not take them. They do not leave their land. They go into their museum. We're building a brand new museum with them, and cultural heritage center. But we name all of those dinosaurs in Lakota. We're naming them in their language. These are your
Oh,
dinosaurs.
I love
You know,
that.
white people have been screwing you long enough. And I'm sorry if you get offended by that. It says more about you than me. Um, you know, this is an opportunity for them to tell their story. And we're just doing so many unique things with that partnership, um, and developing some new technologies. So hopefully, someday, one of my selfish, you know, grandiose goals in life is to figure out a way to repatriate stolen fossils to Native American tribes. So what's been dug up on their land and stolen and put somewhere else, how do we get that back? It's theirs, and it's culturally significant for them.
Well, you
Um,
know, your what is that that you're doing? That GIS mapping database thing could really help with that, you know.
yeah, we're doing some pretty cool stuff.
Well, I mean, like it would help with, knowing where things were found exactly and, not.
Yeah, I mean, we're working with a couple really cool technologies. We are using, again, back to GIS, basically a really fancy map making program. Does more than that, but again, that could be a whole nother show just talking about that. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but yeah, you know, we started off, you know, I started off with the idea of making this map, and now it's morphed into, you know, what else can we do with this now?
Yeah.
And now we're doing things where we're collecting chemical data from the fossils and from the what's called the matrix, the rock around it. And now we can catalog that inside of the map. And now we can do some really cool analysis type things within this program to analyze that data, look at it, and see what it can tell us. And right now, it's, you know, I can share some, don't want to share a lot.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
Well, I think it's just kind of the basic thing just with your foundation itself because it's like in the infancy and early stages. It's like it's endless opportunities of what you can do, offer, and you have like an open door to like you have an idea, let's make it happen and let's it's like the sky's the limit kind of thing. And I think that's really beautiful. Like you can just tell from your passion, your drive, and your direction that is just like, let's make this happen. Whatever it is, let's make it happen. You have an idea, let's do it. Because how many ideas are out there that aren't being brought to fruition that could literally benefit millions of people and just be a better resource for all of us to learn from. So I really, really I find your passion for what you're doing to be incredibly inspiring.
uh, Thank you, Amber. I appreciate it. It's, you know, I hear that, and it's always the same response for me of it, humility of just, I don't feel like I've done anything to deserve anything. I don't really deserve any credit for anything. I'm just a guy that just wants to see things get done. I want to see people have opportunities. You know, we talk about, you know, one of the things that's talked about right now a lot is privilege when it comes especially to white privilege in this country, and so on and so forth. And if you take a look at what privilege really means, it means that we get to operate in an area of the world where there are no barriers, there are no things really in our way. And I want everyone to have human privilege. There are no obstacles. Kick the damn door down. Let's figure out how to get this done. If you've got a passion, you've got an excitement, you've got a willingness, I can give you everything that I have. I can give you every opportunity. I can take you to places and allow you to explore your passions. I can do all of that. But I always tell everyone the same thing is the one thing I can't give you is willingness. And if you have the willingness to do whatever it takes because you want to do something, I got your back. I'm going to support you, and I don't care. You know, I have many detractors. I have many people in this world that don't like me because of what I'm trying to do and how I'm trying to do it. And honestly, I don't care.
You know
Um,
what? I love that because I have that same mentality. And you don't really honestly come across a whole lot of people that really just don't give an F. And because they're so driven by their passion, they're so driven by their passion to want to see things better, to see change, to see progress, that like that's that's their laser focus, that like all the other stuff, the other bull stuff is like BS, like whatever, I don't care. Let's just keep moving. Like you don't see a lot of people like that. So like I literally really appreciate that mentality because it's like those trailblazers that make things happen. And so we need people like that. We need people like that.
well, I appreciate it, and I appreciate what you're saying, and I don't consider myself a trailblazer or anything like that. I just, like I said, I'm just a guy that if I see something that doesn't make any sense to me, I'm gonna try and make it make sense. There's no reason for these barriers to exist anymore. There's no reason that if
Amen.
you
Amen.
know I and it's one of the other programs we just developed. We actually partnered with a company called One Screen that makes these really cool, smart, interactive smart boards that you see in classrooms and
Ah,
everything all
yes.
over.
You mentioned that.
Um,
Yes, let's talk about that.
and so we just developed this partnership with them where we're actually a distributor for the smart board because I wanted to figure out a way of how we can get this experience to places that they may not be able to travel to us. Whether that has something to do with physical limitations, socioeconomic limitations, geographic limitations. I want to try and remove all of those if I can and allow them to have as much of an experience as humanly and technologically possible.
Mhm.
So worked with them to develop this, and we're rolling out a new program called our ICE program, which stands for In Class Explorations, or is it In Class
Yes, yes.
Expeditions? One or the other. Um, it's out there somewhere where we're going to not only work with them to get them the smartboard in their classroom that they can use all the time for all their class subjects, so on and so forth, but they get a subscription that they can log in live and interact with me and our team and those out digging. We're on the dig site and it's live and they can ask us questions real
That's
time
so cool.
and um, you know be able to, I can turn to them and say, all right, kids, here we are at the dig site. Here's this beautiful outcrop of rock, and you can see all the different things that are here. And, you know, what do we want to do today? Do we want to talk about why these rocks are here and how they were formed? Do we want to talk about what the environment was like here 66 million years ago? Or do we want to find really cool dinosaurs?
And you know what's really cool about kids is because like, they want to run the show because everyone's always running the show for them. So like to have that opportunity to be able to tell you what to do, oh my god, like that's genius. Kids are going to love that. Like, okay, we get to tell him where to go. Okay, let's do it. And that just to have that engagement and that excitement is totally going to just pull them in. And then as you're pulling them in, you're just slowly like laying these seeds of blossoming ideas and thoughts for them that later may come about to be something grand. So I just love it. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm super excited for it because I think it's going to be it's so much fun. Um, I love taking anybody out on a dig. I love seeing their first experience. I love seeing how it shifts the paradigm and the way they view their life. Because once you've been out, at least for me, and I shouldn't speak for everyone, but I can, in my experiences and the experiences I've seen for other people, that once you've dug up a dinosaur, you realize how absolutely small and insignificant we really are. I mean, we're a blip on the radar. as humans go. Period. If I did a project many years ago about breaking down geologic time into the lifespan of a human being, and we would literally spend about the last 3 seconds of our life with humans on this planet. The rest of our life would, our first 60 plus years were spent alone. There was not another living thing here. And so, but being able to turn to them and go, all right, kids, should we dig to the left? Should we dig to the right?
Yeah.
What do you think? Should we walk all the way over to that hill over there and check that out? Or, what do we want to do? Because I do think giving them that sense of empowerment of I have a
Yes.
say in what we're doing. I have a say in what's going on with my life to a point. I mean, you're still a child. We still have to
Oh
protect
yeah, yeah,
you and
yeah.
watch out for you, but
Sure.
it's that opportunity of, I've heard some of the craziest things from kids because the one thing that's beautiful about kids is they have not been conditioned like us adults. They have not heard no. They have not been beat down. They have not been, conditioned to be concerned about what other people's opinions are. So they
Right.
will say whatever pops into their head.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, hey, Tom, do you think it'd be possible if we, set off an explosive over there if we could figure out where dinosaur bones are from the echoes or something? And I'm like, you know what? That's a really good idea. Let's blow something up once. You know, um, we had a kid once that had just made one of those silly vinegar baking soda volcanoes
Yeah.
in class, and he asked the question like, "Well, what would happen if we put baking soda and vinegar on top of a fossil? What would happen?" I'm like, you know what? I don't know. Let's find out. So we walked down to the hardware store and bought some baking soda and some vinegar. And we had some little chunks of broken old dinosaur bone that I couldn't tell you what they were from. They were, completely undefinable. And put a little baking soda on, put the vinegar on. It all started fizzing. And hey, look at that. It actually kind of cleaned it up a little bit. I wonder why that is. And then we started talking about chemistry, and all of a sudden, this young mind is just expanding at a rate that I can't even stop it now. It's like, well, yeah, but what if we used more baking soda, and what if we used a little stronger acid? And I'm like, you know what? Let's do it. Let's see what happens. What the hell, you know? And it's amazing what comes from just things that once they're done like this, like, oh, well, why hasn't anybody ever tried this before? Well, because as adults, we're like, that's stupid. No, we got to make this way more complicated. We got to add way more minutia to it. And so it's such a joy to be able to work with them. And so I could go on for hours about just all of that because it really is truly the best experiences that I've had is just out in the field with people, um, watching the kids learn, watching them ask questions, watching the adults get even more excited too, going, oh, wait a minute, what did I find? And, like we were talking about earlier, you asked about where all our stuff goes. And, our stuff goes in museums. And when it goes in museums, we put up signs, and those signs have the person who found its name is on that sign. So they can go to the museum and go, that's my name. I found that. Yeah, you did. You know,
So that's one thing that I wanted to talk about, because we've talked a lot about the foundation and the act of digging, but we didn't talk too much about the fossils. So I was like, you mentioned the T-Rex a lot. So I know with Hell Creek, with it being Cretaceous, I've got an idea. But like, what are like some of the other fossils then that you find?
Good question, Ben, because yeah, most of the work that we do is in the Cretaceous, mostly Hell Creek. We do a little bit in the Lance Formation, a little bit in the Judith River Formation, um, and a little tiny bit in the Pierre Shale and Bear Paw Shale. So we, generally speaking, find some of the most iconic dinosaurs people think of. I mean, T Rex. Everybody knows T Rex. Everybody loves T Rex. But your Triceratops. Another one called duckbill dinosaur, hadrosaur, specifically Edmontosaurus annectens. I always tell people, if you've ever seen the movie Land Before Time and you remember little
Mm,
Ducky on there, we're
yeah.
finding Ducky all grown up. Um, so this is Ducky's mom. She's been dead for a while, but she had a great life. She was full size. You know, uh, so those are the most common ones we find. Other things we find frequently are different types of crocodilias, gators, turtles, because the area we are in was an area of floodplain and braided streams and this really, really diverse ecosystem across the interior plains of the modern United States. At the time, it was under ocean and shoreline, and um, so those are a lot of things we find. We find things, different species of raptors. Um, Occasionally, we find pterosaur parts. Um,
Hmm.
my personal favorite is one called a pachycephalosaurus. Um,
Ooh.
Oh, okay. That's the ones with the like big head that they think
yeah,
like they like rammed into each other or
they look like
something.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
They got
like
the dome
those.
head and then all
I
the
like
spikes off of
those.
it.
I like
Um,
those.
don't laugh too hard, Ben. I do that trick all the time. And it is. It's honestly one of the reasons why it is one of my favorite dinosaurs personally, is because I just think it's funny that I've had many kids go, "Oh, your head kind of looks like the Pachycephalosaurus dome." I'm like,
Got a
you know,
little
I used to
kid.
get offended by it. Now I'm just like, you're absolutely right. I stole its look, or it stole
Oh, that's
mine, or
cute. That's cute.
maybe it's my relative. It's my great uncle. No, there's no. We'll end that conversation right now. But the other reason I'm really interested in that one is because we don't know the Pac-Man. Think cars.
Who is
I'm gonna
that?
start a new Twitter
Who
handle
is
with that.
I
That's my
need
new
to know
Twitter.
who is that YouTuber? Like who is this? Like
I don't know, but
oh
that is awesome.
oh wait a minute. I actually thought that was Kelsey. Oh my god. I don't know why I thought I was just looking at the name. I didn't see the picture. My bad.
That is awesome. Thank you so much for that. Can I use that? Can I steal it or and
Thanks for watching.
yeah. And so, but again, back to why, we don't know much about it. We've never found really a complete specimen. And so I'd really be excited, from a very selfish standpoint, to be able to find a complete one or fairly complete one, and really increase our knowledge of that particular animal. So yeah, I mean, there's just a ton of things. Recently got the opportunity working with the Museum of Discovery out in Sheridan, Wyoming, to get a chance to go out to the famous Morrison Formation, where we find the giant sauropods, those huge, long neck, long tail,
Cool. That's cool.
monstrously huge. Their femurs as big as I am tall. Um, uh, so that's been
Hey,
exciting
Gene.
because
Sorry, I
I
was just
have
saying
no
hey to Gene.
experience.
Sorry, I was just saying hi to Gene.
I just thought you, hi, Gene. Welcome. We'll stay all night. We can just replay this over. Just ask away. Um, so, but yeah, so I've had the opportunity to start working out in the Morrison Formation a little bit, and it's such a different world. It's amazing to me, the geologic difference of the rock, the difference in the dinosaurs, but yet how very similar they are. Sizes, that's the big difference. But the femur looks like a femur, looks like a femur. I mean,
Right.
one of the displays we have out in Roundup, Montana, at the museum, is we literally have a cow femur next to the head of a femur from an Edmontosaurus, and they're
It's a
the same
femur.
shape. They're the same.
Yeah, it's a
They look
femur.
identical.
Like I'm a nurse and I can look at a dinosaur femur and I can say that's a femur because I've seen human femurs. So it's like it's a femur.
And so it just amazes me that how it's so similar,
Yeah.
but yet you look at it and go, there's a huge variation. Like we talked about the Edmontosaurus, we talked about the Triceratops, we talked about T-Rex, and having had experience for the last 13 years of digging these things up, I've learned some things about them, very specific to the fossils in my experience. And I'm sure if there's any academics out there, they're going to argue and fight with me about it, and that's fine. I understand it's not applicable in all situations, but like T Rex belongs to the theropod family, and their bones are hollow. So if you find a
Okay.
bone and you're out digging and it's hollow and it's big, odds are it's from a T-Rex.
Okay.
If you're in the right rock, depending on, obviously, speaking of Hell Creek specifically, it's going to be T-Rex. If it's smaller, well, okay, now it could be part of the dromaeosaurs, which is your raptors,
Ooh.
because the dromaeosaurs and theropods are where modern birds came from, and so they have hollow bones just like modern birds. But then you go and look at like an Edmontosaurus and a Triceratops, and you look at the um, bone marrow of it when it fossilizes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've found in my experience that if it has really hard bone marrow, like you could tap on with your fingers and it's solid,
Yeah.
generally speaking, I found that it is 9 times out of 10 going to be a Triceratops.
Okay.
Where if you poke it with like your finger and it starts to turn into powder and disintegrate, it's generally going to be an Edmontosaurus. For some reason, it seems like the bone marrow fossilizes differently between those two species. And I'm
Now,
sure
are
there's
those?
somebody out there that knows why.
I was gonna say, are they in the same era? Is there like a time frame
Oh yeah,
difference, or
we'll find them right next to each other, literally
okay,
laying right next to each other.
okay,
They're both from 66 million years ago or
okay,
so.
okay, okay?
Um, so it's interesting, and those are things that why is that? I'm sure somebody knows the answer, and if they do, great. But it's just those things that I found are really compelling when it comes to comparing this versus
Yes.
that.
So it's
Um,
like
So
it's you're interesting because you may not know why, but you're observing a difference as you're out in the field, and just that observation alone is help you learn the difference between the two. And I think that's an interesting point to help other people who are out there and digging up things. Like you may not know why they're different, but you are observing there is a difference, and that alone is significant to help you learn the difference in between what you're finding. And I just say that specifically because there's a lot of people who are in this hobby who don't have an educational background. They purely go off observation. Like, this is
mhm.
obviously a different texture. This is obviously like the density is different, the all of that, and those little things mean a lot to people who don't have the understanding of why. They just know they're different, and that's a compelling difference. So I mean, I just want to bring that out for people who are
Oh,
in this hobby
absolutely.
who don't have an education and may not know why, and that's okay. It's the fact that you are observing a difference. So
right. So I in that same vein, I'm gonna go on a slight tangent with this.
Yeah.
We've talked about this kind of in the pre-interview. We talked about this. I've talked about this with some other people, but some people that aren't in the academic side, or maybe you're just like general public, they might be saying, you're a nonprofit organization, why are you digging up fossils and keeping them yourselves, where like say paleontologists should be the ones that are digging them up and studying them, because they're the ones in the academic world and they're the smartest people, or whatever. And I know there's the whole other side of this too, where there's the commercial side where people are digging them up themselves and not putting them in museums, but they're keeping them and selling them. So I guess in that whole world of digging up
let's
dinosaur bones,
dive in.
yes, let's talk about that, because like I said, I know we've talked about it off
Yeah, let's
screen,
stir
but
the pot. Let's
Yes,
yeah, I
I like
let's
it.
piss some
Let's do
people
it.
off tonight. No. Um, I just want to take a second and say hi to the Willie Rickard Rock Farm and
Whoa, whoa.
Joe
Hey,
Fox.
Willie.
Welcome.
Shout out to Willie.
Glad you're enjoying the dinosaurs. Um, back to your question though, Ben, is we don't keep them for ourselves. Everything that we get will end up in a museum. A lot of times, the biggest struggle we run into right now is we work with a lot of museums that are smaller and don't necessarily have space for everything. So we end up storing them at our facility until we change out their display cases for them and put new stuff in, take old stuff out. Um, so it doesn't really belong to us. We're just basically a steward and hold it until it goes on display in a museum somewhere. We don't want our own, as a foundation, we don't want our own private collection. That is not our goal. It's not our mission. Our mission is to get this out and make it accessible to everyone. And it's not accessible to everyone if we have it under a lock and key in our building. So it has to be in public display somewhere. And that's why we're excited about some of the partnerships we have, like the one we had with Up and Roundup with Muscle Shoals County and putting everything out in the museum there, the work we're doing with the Sheridan College Museum of Discovery in Wyoming, the work we're doing out with the Standing Rock, and we've got plans drawn for about a 200,000 square foot Institute of Natural History that's being built there. So, but back to another point, um, Joe, when they introduce academia, that's when corruption runs rampant. Sorry. Uh, at the risk of, if there's any academics out there listening, at the risk of pissing them off, I kind of agree with you, Joe. Um, there's so many examples of this whole publish and perish mentality that really has infiltrated paleontology. And it goes back to Ben's point of shouldn't paleontology be studied? The problem is there's not a lot of paleontologists. They don't have a lot of resources.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they don't have the ability to go out and save these things before they're lost forever to history and to Mother Nature.
Right.
Um, and so I feel like there's got to be this balance between the academic world, the nonprofit world, and you bring up the commercial world. And, the commercial world and the academic world, they hate each other. I mean, it's not even pleasant. And it's understandable. Their opinions are what they are. Uh, But I feel like I'm personally with the foundation, we're kind of in a middle ground where we're kind of cutting our own lane. We're not 100% academic. We're not commercial because we don't sell anything. You know, we're kind of cutting our own independent lane, hopefully.
I think that there needs to be a separate, a whole, things shouldn't be just so black and white, cut and dry. I mean, like, humans aren't black and white, cut and dry. I mean, there should be gray areas. There should be an area where like things just don't fit. And I like that. Like you're that's where things grow and change and progress and ideas fruitate. You're when you're beginning to dive into this middle ground area where you're sitting. I think that's necessary.
Well, and it's interesting, Amber, is the fact that if we don't start expanding this circle and allowing more people the opportunity to participate in it,
Yes.
you're going to run into scenarios where, like,
Weatherization takes everything away and we don't get a chance and opportunity to learn.
well,
It's like, what are we doing,
absolutely. I
people?
mean, well, and it's not just Mother Nature taking it away.
Well, right.
It's,
The
you look
government
at
and
certain
everything else.
states out west, there are specific museums that have a monopoly over anything that's
Yes.
found there on state and federal land.
Yep.
Well, how the hell is that fair? How is it fair that, you control this resource and you're not willing to share that with anyone? And then not even that is now you as an institution are full. You are at capacity. You cannot house any more stuff. You cannot dig up any more stuff. Your resources are spent. And there's organizations out there that are saying, we're willing to help. We're not here to try and take it. We're not here to steal it. We're not here to sell it. We're here to create the opportunities that you preach about but can't do anymore. And then you want to have the audacity to judge me on how the hell I do this?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
if I offend somebody, so be it. Let's have the conversation. Anytime they want to argue this with me, let's get in a room and talk. But it's
Yeah.
funny because I have institutions out west that absolutely despise me and they talk crap about me, yet they have never met me. They don't know me. They won't have a conversation with me. They won't return an email. They won't return a phone call. I invite it. Please, let's have a conversation.
Yeah.
Let's have an
Yeah.
open,
I
candid,
mean,
honest conversation about where we're at because you know what? We have way more in common than we do different. We all want the same thing. We want to save the fossils. We want to get more people involved.
right. And I think like people who are interested in this would love to see these conversations, would love to see progress, would love to see like what can we do? Like let's do it.
I
So
mean,
I
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's so many amazing people out there. Um, I don't know if he watches this, but if he doesn't, I'm going to tell him to. Um, there's a gentleman out there. His name's Cam Skelly.
Okay.
Um,
Oh, Cam. I know Cam. Cam's my people.
Cam is truly one of the most amazing
Yes,
human
he
beings.
is. He really
Um,
is. I literally love Cam. I follow him. He's
and it
his
angers me.
passion. His
It
passion.
angers me that he never seems to get all the credit he deserves because he's
Oh,
doing it. He is
yes, he
doing the
is.
job.
He is.
Quit,
He is.
quit
He is
saying, "Oh,
doing the
he may
damn
not be a
thing.
paleontologist because he doesn't have this degree or this alphabet soup."
He
Or,
is so smart. He
oh,
knows his shit.
he
He
knows it
is
inside out and
doing it.
backwards.
Yes. Yes.
He's just the most impressive person. And
Yes.
I sit here and go, you know, Cam and I have the same credentials. We kind of have the same story where we're just doing our own thing and don't really
Yeah.
give a shit, and
Yeah.
we're gonna get it done.
Yeah.
Um, they just put up a display in a museum down in Florida about Cam and how he's a paleontologist and his journey to where he is now. And you know, it's why are there some in the academic world that are so quick to try and put him down, keep him in check, call him out that he is not,
Or
oh,
or
you're
label
not a real
him
paleontologist, or,
or
you
label them
know,
when it's convenient or just
yes. Oh,
yes.
and then embrace them when it's convenient for their credibility and
Right,
so on and
for
so forth.
inclusiveness or whatever. I know
That's
what you're
right.
saying. I know
We're
it.
all banging that DEI drum right now when it's
I
convenient.
get it.
And it's I say it all the time. I just, I pray to God. You're absolutely right, Joe. It is all ego. It's 100% ego. It's all about who has the biggest pen in the room and wrote the biggest pen paper.
Check, yeah.
Um, and I laugh because I know people who label themselves paleontologists and have a degree of some sort or another. And want to tell me that because I don't have enough alphabet soup behind my name, that I'm not this particular, label or whatever. But at the same time, I look at him and go, okay, how much field experience have you have? How much stuff have you actually dug up? How much
What
stuff
is
have you
your
actually held in your hands?
how passionate are you about this? Like, where's
Not
your
at
true
all.
passion? Right. That it's like
Yeah.
you can tell the people who it's like in their soul. They eat, sleep, and shit it. Like you can tell those people, whatever their credentials are, they want what's best. You can tell that. And
Well,
it's very
it is.
obvious.
It's amazing to me because they judge me and go, "Oh, well, Tom, you don't have any papers published, and you don't do. You know what? I don't care if I ever publish a paper. I don't need that. I don't need the proverbial smoke blowing up my you know what to validate me as a person. I'd much rather have the young people that I get involved write the paper. Let them have that experience. I'm an old man. I mean, I'm not dinosaur old, but I'm close. And it's
You
I
get to that
laugh
point in
because you
your
talk to
you get to that point in your 40s where you just like stop caring and you're just
yeah,
like this is what it is and I don't care if you like it.
no, no shit's given. Um,
Yep.
I am fresh out of all F's over here. I'm just
Yep.
all out. Um, and so and but it's so infuriating because it's these exact people that got into this profession and are academics and are in charge of educating our youth. And I just want to call them out sometimes and go, you're a professor, you're a teacher. You literally got in this because you wanted to help young
Right.
people and shape minds and inspire. And yet
Right.
you're doing everything humanly possible to oppress and
Right.
discriminate and make this a very exclusive club, elitist,
Right.
ivory
Oh.
tower mentality of I'm better than you because I have a PhD and you only have a master's or you have a bachelor's, or even in some cases, you don't have a degree at all. Well, you know what? We'll go back to our friend Cam. Cam does not have a degree. But you know
And
what? I'll take him 9 times out of 10
oh
over a
my
PhD anytime.
I'm gonna tell you, like I'm telling you, like, and we
That
keep
dude knows his stuff
we
inside
keep
out
talking
backward.
about Cam, and I know a lot of people don't know, but like this dude is like he's it's like he was born to
to do this.
He was born like he
This is
was
his
born to
thing.
know dinosaurs, paleontology. Like it is him. Like
Yeah,
he doesn't need a degree because it's like he came out of the womb like ready for this.
yeah, that dude came
So
out being able to Pachycephalosaurus. I
yeah,
still can't
literally.
spell it. Um, and so, but it's one of those things that it gets me put into positions where doors are closed to me, because
Yeah.
of who I am
Yes.
and what I do. Um, and it's funny to me because I very much look forward to the day that they fall out of that tower.
Or
And
but it like gives you ammo. It gives you drive instead of like slowing you down and stopping you. And that's like where I really admire you, and I love that passion and fire. It's like it's pushing you to just keep pushing doors open.
yeah,
I
I
think
mean,
it's
I'm
great.
just, I'm not going to back down because you want to call me names or question my credibility or question my ethics, especially when it comes from a group of people that don't know me, have never talked to me, have won't even know me if I walk past them on the street, won't respond to an email or a phone call. Why would I give two shits what you think about me?
Which, by the way, if anybody's watching this and they have these feelings, towards Tom, I totally welcome a an open discussion about this. Like
Oh,
if
absolutely.
let's dive into this. Like let's really talk about it. Just throwing that out there. For a future
I mean,
episode, show, or discussion.
and I laugh because you look at some of the biggest paleontological discoveries in history were made by people who had no training. Like Leonardo, the mummified dinosaur up in Havre, Montana, was found by two guys from Havre that were just
Yeah,
amateurs. They had no training, no nothing.
yeah, yeah,
In the paleontology world, you got the argument of the bone wars of Culp and Marsh in the 1800s, and one has a degree and the other one just works his ass off. Um, and the minute we start getting to a point in our lives where we think we're better than somebody else because of our position, our education, is the minute that you know I feel like we have a responsibility to call them out on it and remind them
yeah.
that
But
there was a time in your life where you weren't that,
right,
and somebody
right.
helped you get where you are.
Exactly, exactly.
And I'm just trying to be that person that helps. I'm
Yeah.
not the end all be all. I am not the final answer or solution to this problem, but maybe I'm a little piece that can help open the door to get a kid in there and you know allow them the opportunity to explore this. I mean, you look at I hate to keep going back to Cam, but damn it, I love the guy. I
Yeah,
love what
I
he's
do
doing.
too. I do
And
too. We got
what
to
would
get
have
Cam on the show.
happened?
We got to get Cam on the
What would
show.
have happened if Cam would have had the opportunity to really be able to embrace this at a much younger age?
Yeah.
Actually, got academics and people on his side from a young age to advocate for him to be involved. Where would he be in a career from a an academic standpoint right now? I mean, he'd be the probably the most
And
credentialed PhD professor on planet Earth anywhere because he
what's
just
crazy though?
is.
It's like, what's crazy is like we will take somebody who has the most experience in plumbing and electrical work or anything. We're like, I want him. He's been doing this for years. He knows what he's doing. We don't question his who taught him. We don't question it because he's been doing this for years. He knows what he's doing. But yet when it comes to certain areas like academics, it's like if you don't have this formal training, okay, your experience doesn't count. And it's like, what?
Yeah.
Like how why do we just at certain areas in life or certain things we decide that experience is not enough? Like you got to have the actual, and I'm not saying that, I mean, I'm a nurse, and I have degrees, and I'm not saying that education is not needed. I'm not saying that. But when and why do we decide as a society, or not even society, whoever decides it is, that what's important and what's not in terms of academics and experience? Like that just, it really blows my mind, because you can have somebody that knows everything about the books, doesn't have shit of a lick of experience, and can be bowed down to, and then somebody who's been in that field, has been doing it 20, 30 some years, and they're not respected on the same level, and it's just not right. It's just not right. And that is something I think as a society that maybe we should change. Maybe we need to change that. Maybe
Well,
we
and
as
I think it
people,
is
we
changing.
as consumers, as hobbyists, we decide who deserves that kind of recognition. I don't know. It's
Well,
definitely,
and I think there is going to be a slow shift. It's going to take time.
yeah.
I mean, I have many friends that are academics, PhDs, all the alphabet soup, and they're just as fed up with it as I am.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
It's not like a shame on the whole institution. It's just something that we are observing and seeing, that like people are not getting respect and credits that they should. Because at the end
Well,
of the day, if you have the same goal, right, and the same passion, I mean, I don't know.
there's
But
I as someone that was in academia for a
yes,
while and
yes,
has a
yes,
master's degree, I do feel like I
yes,
should speak up at some
yes.
point
Come
here.
on, Ben, speak up. Yes.
absolutely, Ben.
There's I to a certain extent I agree. I have gone to places, for example, I met some random person on Reddit. I don't recommend doing this because I've gotten told many people that I was stupid for doing this, but I met a stranger on Reddit who said, "Hey, you want to come digging with me? I go to, the Franklin mine and Sterling Hill, all the time. And do you want to come, blah, blah, blah." And I did. And didn't get murdered, obviously. But
I do it all
his
the time, by the way.
but
I get
his
murdered.
his dad, and it wasn't the first time. I will say
Right.
Rockhound people are
Yes.
in general very cool people that they
Yeah.
love to bring other people along and share spots with. And I got plenty of stories about that. But I went with this guy, and obviously I checked him out, and he seemed cool, and he had his dad there. And as a geologist and someone that studied, I obviously knew nothing about the area. And his dad was a dentist, and he knew about damn near every mineral that you could find out there. And it's not to say in those instances that you need to have a degree to understand, mineralogy or whatever. You can go to a mineral club museum, or a mineral club meeting. Um, in our group that we have 850 plus members, and I know of
Wow.
about two other geologists out of all of our members, and I know there are many other members that know more than me. And in those instances, like, I am all for, accepting people for what they know and their experience. I know there are people that go out to these areas that have lived there for possibly generations, and they know what they're looking at. It's the,
Mm-hmm.
a farmer could
Yes.
stand out in a field and say, "Oh, it's going to rain because of that cloud."
Right.
Or it's not because I've seen that cloud a million times. Whatever. Like,
Right.
there are certain things that people know. With that being said, I will say there are things that people do need to be trained in.
Yes, I agree.
Things where I don't want to say where it matters, but there are certain things where it matters. As for instance, I am a licensed geologist, which means I can sign off on reports that require a licensed geologist. And those can have implications for things like construction. You don't want a building to fall down because it wasn't built on the soil properly, because someone could just sign it off. You don't want a doctor that doesn't have the proper training just to
Of
cut you
course.
open and
Of
do
course.
whatever.
Of
So
course.
there, I just want to bring
Of
a
course.
balance to this conversation
Yes.
to
Oh,
say,
yes. Oh, yes.
and it does come down. There was a comment earlier about egos, and there are, going through academia, you will run into so many people that their name has to be first on the list of authors. They collect papers like it's a kind of achievement, and they just need to have their name out there to become the most popular person. And it extends way beyond academia. We've seen people on Facebook and in this
Yes.
hobby that they need to
Yes.
get their name, they need to trademark certain
Yes.
things. There are
Yes.
those certain peoples out there as well. And it just needs to come down to that humility. And I've talked to
Yes.
people about this as a
Amen.
geologist who has a master's of science. I've had people come up to me and ask me about things, and I'll just tell them, I don't know. It's okay not to know. It's okay to go to someone that doesn't have a degree, but has the experience to go, hey, what do you think about this? Or what do you know about
Yes.
this? And it's
Yes.
that going back to having that drive for knowledge and trying to grow
Yes.
as not only your knowledge but as a person.
Yes.
Because I've talked with people that I talked to them about finding rocks on the north shore of Lake Superior, Minnesota. And I had someone talk to me and go, oh, well, I found fossils. And I'm like, well, what do you mean you found fossils? Like, I know there's some in like some of the mine dumps, the Hill Annex mine, where they found like some fossils. I'm like, well, what do you mean? Like, there's no rocks around there. Well, I found them. And then it becomes, okay, well, let's think about this. I know it's not Minnesota, whatever. And then we look and it's, oh, okay, well, in, Ontario, Quebec, or wherever, there are marine fossils that were there and the glaciers probably brought them down. It's
Yes.
being open to that and that
Yes.
understanding and being able to grow that is a roadblock for a lot of people, and sometimes the hobby, where people just need to take a step back and just say, if I don't know it, it's okay. It's okay to have someone else on a beach and looking at things with me. It's okay for someone to publish something on Facebook that is on public land that you think it's like quote yours, even though you don't really own it. Like,
Oh my God.
it's just
Yeah.
we talk about like a rock hounding community, and I think
Yes.
that gets lost on people sometimes, that it's people use their credentials. It's one thing, I'll say, trying to go through and doing things like identifying rocks on Facebook, which becomes a very touchy thing for me at times. I will almost never go in and say, I think it's whatever, because I'm a geologist, because it should be able to stand on its own, and it shouldn't matter that I'm a geologist for it to be a quartz or a
Right.
plagioclase crystal or whatever it is. It should just be a fact of that's what it is. And the fact that I'm a geologist and said it and not someone that's been looking at rocks for 30 years, that shouldn't matter. And
That
so
says a lot about your character, Ben. Just saying.
thank
I'm
you.
just saying.
Well,
Yes.
and I love what Ben's saying because he's
Yeah,
absolutely right.
absolutely. He's
I mean, that's
absolutely right.
it is. There are definitely quote unquote classes within academia where you have that group of, I mean, I laugh. I've got people on Facebook that I follow that, oh, publishing another paper today, 3 more submitted going in. And I'm like, who gives a shit? Great. You
But
spent
you
your entire life in a lab, but have no idea what the hell it actually looks like in the
but
real
on the
world.
flip side, you also see people like that who don't have an education and have just the experience who have that same ego. So like it's totally on both sides, but the part
Oh,
that's
absolutely.
the disheartening part is that those in academia, I feel like there's more of like of a crutch to kind of to to stand on.
Well, the
And
problem is they hold the key to the castle. I mean,
yes, yes,
if
yeah.
you want to go to grad school for this and you don't know the right PhD advisor to help you get into grad school, or they don't like you, or they don't think you got the quality, whatever, they hold the keys to the castle. If you get in and they don't like you, or you write something that they don't agree with, I mean, right now, bring up Nano Tyrannosaurus versus a baby T Rex, and you'll get
Yeah.
half of them that will crucify you, and the other half will give you a hug and say, love you. This is the greatest thing ever, you know. And it's the one thing that irritates me is the fact that as scientists, one of the things that we need to be aware of is we can be wrong. And that's where this ego gets into trouble in our fields that we enjoy. Is there are individuals that think that they're never wrong, and that you even question them, how dare you, and that's the part that's frustrating, because it's like part of good science is leaving that open to the idea of, this is what we think the answer is based on the information we have right now, but if new information comes, we could be wrong,
Yeah, yeah, that's
and we don't
something
even leave
that
that gray
that's
area up.
That's
I could be
science.
Yeah,
wrong.
that's how science has been,
Yeah.
that's why you submit papers that become peer reviewed that, you know, can change. Things can change. And it's one of the reasons why, a lot of scientists publish data, and it's one of the things that I've mentioned this before on the show with different people, but holding that information behind things like academic paper paywalls where the general public can't go in and read it.
Oh,
And I know
frustrating.
some of it could be open to misinterpretation and,
Yep, I
frankly
get that too.
misinformation from it,
Yep,
because someone
yep.
might pull out something out of a study that,
And not understand
doesn't.
what they're reading.
Right, or they want to use it for the
Or
purpose of
Right.
remove it from
misinformation. And
context. I mean,
Of their narrative, correct. Yes. I
right,
get that.
right.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's just, it's that, expanding knowledge and, going through grad school. The one thing that was, brought up to me was, can you explain, like, for example, my master's thesis that I studied geochemistry of tephra from sediment cores that were drilled in Lake Malawi in Africa. I explain that on a fifth grade level? If someone's,
Oh,
10-year old
yes.
came up to me and said, what are you researching? Because I had multiple people that I went to grad school with that, if I, even as a geologist going in grad school, couldn't fully understand what they were trying to tell me they were doing. And that comes down to a full understanding of what you're doing. If you
Mm-hmm.
can't explain it, if you can't dumb it down to
Yep.
the level that someone's at compared to what as far as terminology and, different, topics and processes of, because, I'm sure you've seen this, Tom, where you have someone that they don't know the process of, stratigraphy and layers forming in the earth. But if you explain to them, well, you imagine a bunch of pancakes going on, your newest one is at the top, your oldest one is at the bottom.
Perfect.
Getting people to understand these concepts
Yes.
is
Yes.
really about the understanding of it. And I think some people, they themselves might not fully understand it, and so they just chastise people saying, well, you don't have a bachelor's degree, so you don't understand it, and clearly you don't know what you're
Exactly.
talking about, when really it's it goes back to ego. It could just be that they just want to be assholes about it too,
Yeah.
because there are
Yeah.
just those people too that they just want to feel better about themselves
Themselves.
because, yeah. So
but
I think it's something that I don't want people to think that all academics are like that, because I've met some really great academics that will definitely talk to anyone that
oh,
asks,
absolutely.
regardless of their education, and they will try to promote what they know. But there definitely are the people out there that just should probably take a step back and just think, what is the purpose of all of this? Where do you fit in the world,
Yes.
and how do you want to be remembered? Do you want to be remembered as someone that got the most papers written about them? That, what did you have to sacrifice, and who did you offend along the way to get to that point? Or do you want to be someone that, they can look to you and say, hey, when you gave that talk, or when you showed me this picture or whatever, you inspired me to do this, and it brought me this much joy, and it brought me purpose to my life, or whatever. That should be what matters.
Yes.
Well, and that's a great point, Ben. It really is. I think it's dictated by what motivates them as an individual person. Is what motivates them is notoriety and fame and being published, or is it the impact that they leave after they're gone?
Right.
Um, it is. It's so amazing how that just I don't understand it completely because I'm wired one way and it's not necessarily the way others are wired. But I
But
don't
the
want it
thing
to
though
come
about
across
this,
that I'm just bashing all academics.
yeah,
I
yeah,
am
no.
not.
The good
There's
thing about
absolutely a need
this,
for advanced studies because you're right, Ben. There are, you know, sit here and we could talk about the diagenetic studies of diagenesis fluids and ontogenetic studies of the histology of I mean, I can use big fancy words to talk about all this stuff too, and but to me it comes back to a point of one of the reasons why the foundation is so important to me is there's been a 68% decline of geoscience degrees in the last 10 years. Nobody's going to school for this stuff anymore.
right.
You're becoming a dying breed, Ben. Nobody's going to school for geology anymore. You know,
It comes down to purpose. What's your purpose? What's your purpose here? What is your
yeah,
purpose? What's your purpose here? Like what whether you're a hobbyist, academia, you're building a brand, career, whatever, what is your purpose? And if your purpose isn't driven to share, educate, encourage, involve, if they're not positive adjectives attached to your purpose, that's where you need to have a little bit of introspection here. You need to really reconsider, your perspective and your outlook and your projective and how you are being perceived in the community. So it's really, I think, in general, it's your purpose here, and I think I would like to hope anybody that's watching and has any interest in anything that we're talking about, the purpose is to learn and to, like, immerse yourself into nature, into science, and to learn, just, I mean, for me, I just keep saying learning because I love to learn, but it's like, you hope that there is a positive purpose. And Tom, you very clearly have a very positive purpose, and so I anybody in academia or just like content creators, I don't care who you are, you know, what's your purpose? Are you trying to do good things?
Well,
Right.
and I just want to grab Joe's comment over here. He's at 56 years old. I struggle with what my purpose is, and you're not alone, Joe. I just didn't wake up one day and go, "This is my purpose." It's my purpose, especially with the work with the nonprofit and the foundation now, is constantly changing as I have different experiences and experience. You know, the dig with the veteran and the crying and bringing it back to life. That made me take a look at my purpose even more. Going, what's my responsibility with this now? I hate to quote Spider-Man because I'm not a Marvel guy, but something about amazing power comes amazing responsibility or something like that.
Yeah.
If my youngest boy he's in the wall room over there somewhere, he's probably over there shaking his head going, "Oh God, please stop." Because he's a huge Marvel guy. So, but it is. And I think that's part of, you know, our responsibilities as people is, be of service, keep your
Yes.
mind open, look for opportunities that you can heighten someone's life rather than
Yeah.
diminish it. Um, you know, uh, uh, Rothrod's comments about negative stuff about geology, you're absolutely right. If you get a chance, um, uh, Joe, you just sorry, paying attention to Joe's comments over here. Joe, you are into the foundations group on Facebook. I approved you. Yes, it is me. Feel free to connect with me personally and we can continue this conversation. I would love to hear what you're going through and I will help in any way I can and listen. Um, I have been through hell in my life. I mean, we can get off on a tangent if you want for a minute here, coach. I mean, I'm a recovering alcoholic. I've been sober for 20 years.
Good for you.
September 2nd, 2002, I put a loaded gun in my mouth and was going to kill myself. I mean, I suffer with a mental health condition that I deal with on a daily basis. So I don't share these things because I want pity or anybody to feel sorry for me. I share this because maybe there's somebody that hears that and goes, wait a minute, if this dumbass can do it, I can do it. you know and if that experience can help somebody, I will share it. And Joe, I understand the depression. I have been there. I have done that. I remember the first time I tried to talk to somebody that was a paleontologist that had their very much elitist hat on, and I remember leaving that conversation feeling so dejected, like I'm the biggest piece of crap. um, that why am I even here? I actually, as part of my undergrad, did an entire presentation on something called imposter syndrome. If you've never heard of it,
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
Yep.
and Ben, you would love it because I literally made it about geology and water. Which is stronger, the immovable object or the unstoppable force. And I literally sat by a river with granite and a river running through it, talking about which one's stronger, the granite or the water. And um, it, that's just as important as anything else that I do. Is um, you know, being grateful for those experiences in my life that allow me to be of service and help somebody else who's suffering
Yeah.
with something that maybe I have just a little bit of hope to give them, that there is opportunity for better.
Yes.
I look at like the story of Lindsay. Lindsay had a very tough high school life. She was, if she's listening to this, Lindsay, I love you. This is not said with mean or anything, but she was the nerdy girl that was picked on at school. And by me being able to share my experience with her, she's now at college. She's going to school for this. She's got this sense of strength about her now that she knows she's not alone. She knows that she has people in her corner that are going to be there no matter what she does. It's like I tell my kids is I expect you to screw up. I expect you to make mistakes. What I don't want you to do is think those mistakes define you
Yeah.
because
That's
there's
the
not.
beauty.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that's the beauty within the hobby, and even though within the hobby of collecting, there's so many different niches. Paleontology, geology. Just all of that. Um, it's within this hobby. It's that sense of community, connecting, and finding a sense of peace and belonging. I mean, it's just that all of those pieces. So many people come to this hobby. Um, in a time of pain, in a time of rock bottom, no pun intended. And they find this hobby and it literally transforms their life. I'm one of those people. So it's and I think people who have been so impacted in their life find this hobby and it's transformed them. Those are the people who really want to help others find that same peace, find that stability, that anchor that was able to help them because whew, without it, I don't know where I would be. And I
Yeah.
want to help other people. So it's that's where I was, bringing that. What's your purpose here? Like what are you trying to do? Because the people that are, putting things out for people to learn, you have to understand while we all want to learn, why are we learning? We're learning because there's a connection for us. So it gets, we could really go deep into this. It's,
Yeah, and on that same note too, like people just need to have empathy and just understand
yes.
that
Oh,
you don't know what someone else might be going through. So, I see this sometimes where people they will get so worked up over certain things. It could be someone cutting you off in traffic. It could be someone misidentifying a rock on Facebook. It could be, a neighbor is doing something that you don't like, whatever. Like you probably don't know what's going on in their life. And it might be that, yeah, they're an asshole. Or it might be that, maybe
they're
their
feeling
dog
like
just
it's
died or,
falling apart. Yeah.
yeah, or they're being evicted, or their car just broke down and they had to take a bus, and like you don't know what's going on in their life that they might just be dealing with something, and just treating people with kind of erring on that side of things of like hey, like also just going, with kindness. Killing someone with
Yeah.
kindness can sometimes do a lot because sometimes you'll find that they will open up and you'll be like, oh, they really weren't trying to be mean
Right.
or whatever. They just had a lot going on. And they, after they took a step back and calmed down, they went, hey, I'm sorry for acting that way. This is going on, whatever. And I think it's just going back to that, just being a community and just
Yes.
trying to understand people and just being a good human is really all
Being
it
a good
is.
human. Yes. I was literally just going to say, just be a good
What?
human.
No, that's silly. Why be a good
Yeah.
human? You know, but yeah, I mean, Ben, I couldn't agree with you more, Ben, if I had to. Um, it's one of those things that to draw on some experience I've recently had is a good friend of mine. Her name is Dr. Stephanie Little Hawk Big Crow. She's part of the Oglala Lakota um, people, and I believe it's She is a direct descendant of Crazy Horse from
Oh, wow.
Battle of Little Bighorn, and she is an extremely proud Oglala Lakota, and truly one of the. But that to me doesn't define who she is. It's part of who she is. It's part of her identity. But she is truly one of the most amazing human beings. You talk about empathy, and you know, she sat me down once and she looked at me and she goes, "What is wrong with you?" I'm like, "I'm sorry, what?" She goes, she could literally sense that there was something
Oh,
bothering me.
yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, she's so in tuned with the
Yeah.
people that she
Yeah, it just
allows into her world.
don't you love
It,
that?
it's called the Nogli. It's their spirit.
Yeah.
It's literally they literally go right to their sternum area, and she talks about this. And you talked about that connectedness that we get and that healing power of it. And she explained it to me. She asked me, she goes, "Do you ever dig dinosaurs with your shoes off?" I'm like, "I'm sorry, what?"
Grounding, grounding, yes.
She's like, "Yeah. Do you ever take your shoes off and dig barefoot?" I'm like, "No, there's scorpions and snakes and cactuses. Are you out of your mind?" No. She goes, "Just the next time you're out, just take your shoes off and put your feet on the dirt and just take a moment." And, you know, I'm not an overly religious guy. I'm not going to get all pontifical about this stuff, but
It's
I
an
did it.
experience.
And
It's
that experience was just
yes. I legit never believed
profound.
it until I did it myself. And I'm like, it's an experience. That connection, you can feel it.
Oh, it was amazing to me, and you know, but what really got me about that was how little credit we give to people that look at the world that way, because it's not necessarily socially acceptable to,
Right.
you
Or the
know,
science behind it.
oh,
Yes.
that's not,
Yeah.
that's not accurate, and there's
Yeah.
nothing special about this, and I disagree to the most part with some of that. That if you firmly have your mind open and are willing to accept that there is a chance that there is something to this, it will change your mind. You are opening yourself to the experience, and there's so much to be said to that. I mean, it goes back and ties in well what we were talking about with the academics, that you have
Mm-hmm.
this group of academics that has closed themselves off to any other ideas except their own. And then you have the academics whose minds are still very much open and embracing of bring it in, let's talk, let's have these conversations, let's increase our knowledge. And they have that purpose to them, like you were saying, Amber. It's the same thing with these, I don't want to call them alternatives, or you know, um, it's there's credence to these different identities and how they relate to the world around them. And it was amazing because, you know, talking about grounding, and 10 years ago, if you'd have came at me and said, "Oh, you'll feel better if you put your feet in the ground," I'd have told you
No,
you were full of crap.
listen to me. I've been a nurse for 20 years ago, and I'm not a germaphobe, but I will say 10 years ago, if you would have told me to do grounding, my focus would have been way more on microbes than the healing power or the connection or any of that. And I'm still a bit focused on microbes, but I am able to allow myself to just get out of my head and connect. And when you do that, like just the connection is like
Oh,
everybody go do some grounding. Just do it safely and think, look it up first. I'm a nurse. I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna look it up
if you
first.
want to
But
do it safely, come join me on a dinosaur dig.
yes, there you
It's the
go. There
best
you
way to
go.
ground ever.
There
I
You're
you go.
literally covered in dirt from head to toe by the time you're done.
I
Um,
do want to do a quick shout out. Going back a little bit, Nathan. Hi to Nathan, who mentioned this on Facebook. I believe he said they're coming in from Haunted Ridge. He said almost everyone who comes here to dig are happy people. Rockhounds are a different breed of people, determined people. And I just have to say, I completely agree. Rockhounds are Well, we're the best. I'll just say
Yes, we
that.
are. Woo woo.
you know, I
Rockhounds,
might have to take
paleontology.
exception to that. I don't
Okay,
know. I
like
mean,
I kind of like put it like okay, it's like I feel like it's all in the same area, right? Because we're both digging for stuff and we're all
don't
looking
get me
for
wrong. I
stuff.
picked up
Okay,
some pretty freaking cool rocks in my life.
yeah,
I mean, I have a
like
collection behind me of some really
just
cool stuff.
connect.
Um, and I do have an educational background in that area, but the minute you get into any kind of igneous or metamorphic rock, I could care less anymore because there's
Yeah,
no
I mean
fossils in
it.
them. I don't care. It was the most painful thing ever was my freaking igneous petrology course. I'm just like, I don't give a shit. I don't
Wait,
care, but I have to take this for a stupid. I don't care.
you
Can I
can
take
find some.
strat again?
I mean, like
Because I
igneous
learned way
rocks,
more in
though. I
that
mean,
class
like
than
you
I
can
ever
find
needed
some
to learn in
really
a petrology.
badass minerals, though. I mean,
Yeah.
like you're completely whole, like missing a whole world. But I just think like if you dig in the ground and you like to find stuff and discover and explore like all
Yes.
of that, like I don't care what your niche is, like if you just like to connect with nature, dig, explore all of that, like do it. Like it's
Yes.
so
Get
incredible for your
it's like
soul, for your
our
everything.
website says, Amber. Let's dig. I don't
Yes,
care what the hell
dig.
you're digging up, but let's
Just
dig.
dig.
Let's get dirty.
Yes. There you
Um,
go.
so I
Yeah.
see
So to
Diana has a
answer,
question about kids going digging for fossils. Where are you located, Diana? A state will be good enough. I don't need exact home address or anything. Because yeah, depending on where you are, there's lots of places to go. There's some great
Texas.
Texas. Ooh,
Oh, we did. Yeah.
if you're
There you
anywhere
go.
near Dallas, there's amazing woman. Her name is Kim Purvis. She runs the Dallas Paleontological Society. They do all kinds of dig stuff. Tons of outreach. Kim's extremely knowledgeable.
And if you
If
go
you're
back
willing to
to
travel, we have a free kids dig program. We'll take you guys out in Montana, Wyoming, or North or South Dakota, depending on what dates you come up.
Gonna do a
We'll
real shout out to Bethany Burke too. She's in Texas.
yes, well, and actually, she maybe I forgot she just got married. She changed her last name, I believe. But
Oh, she
she
did.
BK Bones. If
BK
you go
Bones.
back
There
and
you go.
watch that episode, she does a lot of outreach, and I believe she mentioned some locations in Texas that she's done some digs as well.
Yes, that's
So
on
uh,
our
make sure to go.
YouTube. Yep.
Yes, go
Go
back
check you.
YouTube,
B- BK
Spotify, all those
Bones. Yep.
places.
Yep. And she you hit that episode. She talks all about Texas.
then another one too that's in Texas is a gentleman named Andre Lujan. Um,
Oh,
if you've
okay.
ever watched the show Dinosaur Hunters or Dino Hunters that was on TV, Andre was actually part of that. He has Texas through time. I believe he's in Austin area. Um, Building a new museum, does quite a bit of outreach and stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of opportunities in Texas. They actually just found some really cool dinosaur stuff there. Um, a lot of marine type fossils located throughout Texas. But yeah, like I was saying, is go to our website. Um, it's been posted in the comments. Feel free to look it up. Send us hit the contact button. Send me a message. We do have a free kids dig program where we all kids 16 and under dig for free. We do require an adult to come with now. We used to not do that, but liability lawyers and our insurance company require it now. Um, so, but yeah, we can take you out on some of the digs we do out in Montana and Wyoming and North and South Dakota. But there's a lot more opportunities to get kids out digging now than there ever has been. Um, and it's something I hope continues to grow because I think it needs to, because it goes back to a conversation we were having um, earlier, Ben, about the communication. How academics communicate to non-academics, the general public, and how they don't know how to do that. And
Yeah.
it's one of those things that
We had what was gosh, my brain. Ben Dykenite. She was talking a lot about how academia, sciences, they have all this information but don't know how to explain that and get that out to the public to be able to
Yeah.
understand, to learn. So yeah.
Yeah, she did a lot. She talks in that episode as well, which was our season finale of season 2. So
Yeah.
go back and watch that. That was a great one. She is a volcanology PhD student, and she does a lot on TikTok, and she's done some panel
Oh,
at some things too. So if you
she
are
is.
interested in anything with science, volcanoes, and science outreach, watch that episode as well. It's a great one.
Yeah, we need more people that are able to speak the language of the people to educate for sure.
Oh, absolutely. And it's funny because there's a gentleman, his name's Dr. Hayden Mort. He runs a company called Geologize out of England. And the whole premise of this program is to teach geoscientists how to communicate to the general public because, it's some of the reasons why kids aren't going to school for geoscience degrees because, well, the geoscience world, specifically mining, has done a great job of giving us a really, really bad reputation. And how do we fix that? I mean, you go and look at things like climate change. They get so much funding and so much money and so much backing because they do an amazing job of telling the story in terms that the general public can understand. Whereas geologists and mining industry people, paleontologists, if we don't start taking some notes and learn how to communicate the importance of our sciences to the general public, it's why we see geology departments leaving universities. It's why we see these degree programs don't even exist. I mean, I talked earlier about a professor from Montana that reached out about a science fair. They literally cut his entire geology program down to just him as the only geology professor in the entire campus. And I'm like, what the hell? You're in Montana. You're like the geology capital of freaking America. I mean, you
Yeah,
guys got all kinds of cool stuff going on out there when it comes to rocks and minerals and mining and exploration. And how the hell are you cutting your geology to program?
right.
And it's like, what do we have to do to get scientists to understand that you don't have to impress us with big, shiny, freaking words? Just talk to me like a normal person. And here's the reality is people, if you don't start helping out, whether it's us as a nonprofit or other nonprofits that are out there, if the society as a whole doesn't start helping us get this out and getting kids involved in this, say goodbye to your computers, say goodbye to the electricity in your house, say goodbye to the roads you drive on, say goodbye to that smartphone you love so much, that car you love to drive. And I don't care if you're all about alternative energy. Do you know what it takes to make a lithium battery for a alternative fuel car?
Yep.
But nobody's
Yeah.
talking, and there's not this moral outrage, and there isn't this demand from the general public saying we need to fund geology degrees. Because honestly, this younger generation is the one who holds the key to this because they have been raised since day one to be way better stewards of this planet than my generation was. They are so
For sure.
environmentally conscious from day one that they're going to come with that idea of how do we mine lithium in an environmentally responsible way? How can we build roads better in a more environmentally conscious manner? How can we get rare earth elements? And if you don't think these things affect you as an everyday citizen, you're out of your mind.
Yeah.
You want to know why the cost of our products have gone up exponentially during this period of economic crap? Rare earth elements are driving this. We get them from China. China digs them all. Okay, they supply like 90% of the world's rare earth elements and they control the pricing. We have to pay whatever they charge us because we need to have them. This
Right.
drives inflation. Yet we're not willing to spend any money on our own schools and universities to educate students on how to find this stuff and encourage them to go there. Come on, let's get real. I mean, let's
Yeah.
have a conversation at least.
Well, with that, I will say we did go quite long tonight. Um,
Sorry, that's
we
No, no, don't be sorry. It was great. I mean, honestly, like this is good shit.
no, this was great. I'm glad we had some really good conversations. So, with that, I know we talked a bit about some rocks and minerals. We've had, I know, 2 back-to-back paleontology focused episodes, but we are going to have Amos Cunningham on
Ah,
And I haven't talked to him at all, so I don't know. Amber, I don't know what you want to say about Amos.
oh, okay. So Amos Cunningham, just a brief little thing, So he is a he's been a rock hound literally since he was 7, like over 50 years of rock hounding. Probably one of the most excited, passionate rock hounds after all of these years still that I guess I haven't met him, that I've ever talked to. And so he has a mine down in South Carolina. If anybody's ever watched The Crystal Collector, Brian Majors, on YouTube, Brian Majors actually started his videos on his mine. So he has a plethora of knowledge, experience that he will share with us in 2 weeks on March 6th. I'm super excited to speak with Amos, just to dive into his world, his journey, and what he has to share and teach us all. So that episode will be March 6th at 8:45. We will be live again. Join us again, and we will sign out for tonight. Peace out, everyone. Talk to you later.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.